Alright, what is up everybody? Welcome back to the Comic Book Nerd. We got some business to attend to as usual. Like I said in the last video that literally just released by the time you guys are going to see this video, the Madam Web trailer breakdown is done. Go check that video out. But now, we're going to talk about the What If trailer and break that all down. So, if you guys are new to the channel, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, turn that bell on. We do our best to post on this channel every single day. Up next, 3 videos today because we have some fantastic forecasting news that we have to go over to later tonight on the channel. So that's coming to the channel later, and then Friday is going to be a pre-recorded video because Friday I will be a lot busy and it will be my Spider-Man gameplay series. So without further ado, let's go ahead and break down all of this footage in the What If Season 2 trailer as we have a new superhero. But first, let's break it all down. So we open on a group of heroes from the 90s, I believe, which include Hank Pym, who is of course voiced by Michael Douglas, Bucky Barnes, the Supreme Intelligence, who is back from Captain Marvel, voiced by the same actor, and of course T'Chaka, who is the father of T'Challa before he was born, I believe. So the trailer starts on basically a wormhole, I guess you would say, which is opened by Peter Quill, and I believe this episode is going to be what if Peter Quill was delivered to Ego as promised by Yondu. So we talked about what all the episodes are during the last What If video that got a majority amount of views, so thank you all so much for that, by the way. However, let's continue on with this trailer. So we see the use of basically Peter's power set before that, Black Panther is basically saying that the kid looks harmless, but as we all know, looks can be deceiving, and we see Peter use his power set to basically destroy the entirety of the Carnival Festival that was happening. So, Hank Pym is asked basically if he needs some help or whatever, and then there's a little laugh in there that he says that he's great with kids, but we see the group of heroes band together for at least the fight against Peter Quill. We don't know how long they've been doing it again, but then is where we get the Marvel Studios title card. So that episode right there is going to be what if Peter Quill faced off against the Avengers and was delivered to Ego as promised by Yondu. So that is one of the episodes that is going to be featured in Season 2 of What If. So right after we get the title card, we hear the voice of the Watcher, who is voiced, of course, by Jeffrey Wright. And he returns and is telling us that the story's not over, that he doesn't usually do sequels, but this calls for one, and that's where we are now. So we then see Nebula, and this episode here, I believe, is what if Nebula was, in fact, a Ravager and basically revolted against Thanos, I think, is one of the episodes as well. So we see her basically kill some bad guys, take off her mask, plain and simple like that. The Watcher then tells us that he normally doesn't do sequels, like I said earlier, but there has been something wrong in the multiverse, and they have to stop it, and that the multiverse has gotten a little twisted. We also then get another shot of a team from which I think is going to be a group from the 80s, not the 90s, but maybe an older version of the Avengers or something like that. And What If, or maybe a separate reality Avengers is what I was trying to say. So the next shot is of a dragon, which plays right into the next episode that we have been hearing, and that is what if Hela eventually got the 10 rings and decided to go on her own journey, like we saw when Odin in Thor Ragnarok basically enslaved her to where she is no longer allowed to visit Asgard or anything like that. That's one of the next episodes, and then we see that the Scarlet Witch is back for this show, Season 2 from Season 1, who I assume is going to be voiced by Elizabeth Olsen, and once again, we hear Jeffrey Wright say that things have gotten twisted in the multiverse. I think that's going to be a key factor in this show is the multiverse, and yes, this is MCU canon, because who knows, a lot of these characters could pop up in Avengers Secret Wars, and there's one specific character who we'll get to in a bit that I think will eventually pop up in live action, maybe in Shang-Chi 2 or something like that. And we'll get to that later on down the line. I'm sure a lot of you guys know who I'm talking about here. But basically, the Watcher, we get a shot of the Watcher is the next shot in the trailer, and he says all of this over basically saying that he can't intervene, like we've heard him say consistently last season, but eventually he did intervene as well. So the next shot is of Gamora, and I think this is the episode, and what if Gamora and Tony went to Vormir or something like that instead of Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy. So I'm wondering if that is that deleted episode that we were going to be getting last season on What If as well. However, the next scene, we then see that Tony and Gamora are both in a car chase, I guess you would say, with Valkyrie and Korg as well. So Korg is officially back, and we then get a shot of the Grand Master, who is voiced by Jeff Goldblum, and they are back. So eventually, I think they will return to Sakaar, but it won't be Thor. It will be somebody else who will go within that Ragnarok storyline, and I believe it's going to be Tony Stark or Gamora or somebody of that nature, but somebody will replace Thor in that Thor Ragnarok storyline. However, the next shot is of Thor, speaking of Thor, fighting basically just more monsters, and I'm pretty sure this will be a continuation of last season's episode where Thor was a party dude. But, again, this could be what if Hela got the 10 rings and Thor fighting back against Hela as they are all grown up or something like that. I'm very, very excited for that episode. More on that episode in a bit. But we then basically get more shots of the Mandarin people introduced to us in Shang-Chi because, again, that episode, What If Hela Got the 10 Rings, is probably the newest episode that we have been rumored to be getting for a long while in this show. So I'm very, very excited about that episode, as I'm sure a lot of you guys are. So we continue. Basically more action shots of Hela trying to get the 10 rings, and we see that Yondu is back with his arrow and almost killing Nebula to the point where Nebula holds it directly in her face. The arrow that Yondu has basically is right dead at Nebula's face. So I'm wondering if something made him tick. He pissed off Nebula or Yondu or something like that. Maybe it's something she does or says, or maybe she's just not obeying at all. But we then continue to get shots of Odin. We get a shot of Odin, who I think is, again, trying to stop Hela from getting the 10 rings. That's where this show is going to be centered around for the most part of this multiversal show. Now, the new episode here is that we get a shot of Black Panther versus Thanos. Yes, everyone's favorite villain is back, and he has the Infinity Stone. So, number one, this is going to be a Black Panther episode, or number two, this will be Iron Man and Gamora that I talked about earlier when I was talking about that car chase that end up back on Earth or something like that. Again, someone gets replaced within that Thor storyline, and I think it's going to be Gamora and Tony Stark as well. So, we then see some more sword fighting going on with Ant-Man, actually, and some villain who we don't know, but more action shots. We see Gamora, Rocket, Thor, all in their respective episodes, but then we get the huge reveal of Strange Supreme back from last season. He's officially back, and he is saying that he has been looking for a major character for a very long time now. Who is this character, you might ask? This is Kahori, and more on her in a bit, so we can wrap this trailer breakdown up. We'll talk about Kahori and what she means to the overall future of Secret Wars and stuff like that going forward later on in a bit. Let's continue, though. So, we then hear basically the Watcher say, just be careful, because he can't bear to narrate what happens yet. So, I'm wondering if something intense is going to be going down here. And then we also see Kahori again, and she's battling Doctor Strange in this episode. So I'm wondering, this is when Kahori and Doctor Strange meet for the first time, and Doctor Strange asks her to come with her or something like that. So the What If episode hits, and then after all of this, this thing is a very, very important thing, and that is that every episode of this show is going to drop daily, not weekly, but daily from December 22nd to December 30th, I believe, Saturday. So that is that. However, that week is going to be very, very busy. We'll have episode breakdowns, stuff like that and like that. So the last little clip is a funny one, and that clip is What If Happy Hogan Saved Christmas? And we get the clip of Happy Hogan calling Darcy and saying that the Avengers Tower has been taken over and that they need someone to stop it. This, again, is the episode of What If Happy Hogan Saved Christmas, continuing on from that storyline, or from the Iron Man 3 storyline. So, that being said, let's talk about Kahori, though. So, Kahori is a new character, number one, exclusively from the MCU. I tried to look her up from the Marvel database and stuff like that, but I could not find her. She is an exclusive character for the MCU, but she is going to make her debut in the episode involving the Tesseract, which we did not talk about, because, again, that's all the time we have for today. But Kahori is a new character being introduced into the MCU, and I think she is going to be transverted into live action, maybe in Captain America Brave New World, or something of that storyline where she could play a major factor into Secret Wars. They'll definitely bring her in live action for that, but she's an exclusive character for the MCU, and I'm interested in what storyline she is going to be playing as a part in What If Season 2. Anyway, that's going to be all for my What If Season 2 trailer breakdown. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn that bell on. We do our best to post on this channel every single day. That being said, I'm going to hop off, get this edited so you guys can watch it on time. Quick reminder, tomorrow's video is going to be pre-recorded. Friday, it's a Spider-Man series, so hopefully you guys are excited about that. And then, of course, today's video later is going to be talking about the Fantastic Four cast. So, that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.